All right, Herd. Welcome to a special edition of the Unicorn Chef. I will be the sole host and guest tonight as we make something to do with the cicadas. So if you're not familiar, if you live in that part of the United States, it is the Brood X. They have been waiting 17 years to fly free, where they create a cacophony of screaming, fucking, and then dying, going back to reappear in 17 years. First up, charity. As always, we'd like to highlight and do something good here. This week's charity with me, I would like to highlight the local food kitchens in your town. There are a lot of folks that do not necessarily have everything, and going hungry is terrible. So please give to your local food kitchen. Go volunteer, help. All right, so safety, because most people don't really consider this something to be on the menu. There's a lot of talk about the future of protein being about bugs because of the deleterious effect that large mammals have on the ecosystem. So a cicada is actually, so I joked about it on Twitter, calling it the shrimp of the land versus the shrimp of the sea, which I'm also going to be doing shrimp here, is the cicada is actually related to shrimp. So if you have a shellfish allergy, for those of you brave enough to try this, not good. All right. So how I did this is I just went outside, grabbed a few, and threw them in a bag. And something to make this a little easier, because they really scream when you pick them up. It's kind of just it's kind of creepy. Is I threw them in a freezer for a couple of hours. Puts them to sleep, because the first thing we have to do is we want to take off their wings. So I've already taken the wings off of all of the other little guys I got here. So I got a little bowl of de-winged cicadas. And if you watch the episode we did, actually that might not have been one of my formal episodes. I think I might have done that on The Thinker with Lena. I showed how to make tempura. So I've already got everything all set up here. Just give you a quick tour. And so this is gonna be a quick episode, because really, obviously, eating the bugs is the interesting part, and making tempura with a donburi setup is not as interesting. So I got eggs, cornstarch, and flour here. I added a little bit of curry powder to give it a little bit extra flavor, but not too much, because I'm also gonna make two kinds of dashi sauce for dipping. So I've already grated daikon radishes, if you want to see that one. The episode I actually did with my brother a couple of months ago with a pork katsu, which is another Japanese dish. And I'm going to make different sauces with ponzu, Japanese Worcestershire, which does not taste at all like Worcestershire as you know it. It has kind of a citrusy flavor. Mirin, which is kind of a cooking wine. And then for one, I'm going to make it a little spicy with some hot chili sesame oil. And we're going to be using that to dip these in. So this is really simple. Already got my oil up to heat. Let's start. So throw one of these. So we're just going to throw them all in. Get them all covered in some egg. And then roll them in our batter. Oh, you know what? I totally forgot, since I'm making tempura. I was just thinking more like a traditional. So the addition to tempura here is we're going to add cold seltzer water, which gives it kind of like a thickness. So just a little bit. And I actually use chopsticks to stir, because it's actually a really easy way to stir these things up without making much of a mess, because since chopsticks are so thin, they don't collect as much. A little easier. And you want this to be cold, because that helps you keep it fluffier. Just it cooks better. So I'm getting a nice little paste going here. And the other thing I wanted to demonstrate with this episode, beside the fact that frying anything means you can eat anything, is that even me frying bugs is still going to be better than anything Mike Ellis can put on a plate from the kitchen. So that was really another key takeaway that I wanted to demonstrate to the world. I hope you're on, Mike. All right, getting there. Ooh, it's also really hot here in DC, so it's a hot day. All right, so I'm just getting this down to the right consistency. Of course, it's always really hard to see this with the amateur setup. And if you get it wrong, it's easy to just add a little bit more one way or the other and get it where you want it. What I would really love on this one, I know I always ask every episode, hashtag Unicorn Chef, share what you're making. I'd love to see someone else really try to do this because it's actually not going to be that bad. I know everybody's, again, it's kind of a little creepy, like, eating bugs, but it's not that big deal. All right, we're getting about to that consistency that I want. There we go. All right, now I got it. I can't believe I forgot to add the seltzer water the first time. So try that again. See that? You got like a thick batter. All right, chuck them in, and here we go. These actually do not take long to cook. When you're doing tempura, you really want to go quickly. So I got a wired mesh over here to scoop these out because you actually only want your stuff to cook for about a minute, plus or minus. Anything more, and it kind of doesn't go so great. Let's put that. One of the other things I thought about doing instead of doing this was actually making like a spicy mayo aioli to dip it in. So it'd be almost like dipping chicken poppers. But figured keep the whole thing consistent for the meal. Not surprisingly, my dog isn't interested. Whatever's going on there, that sounds great, dude. So now I'm just doing the vegetables because I'm going to do all of this over the end over a rice bowl. I might need more eggs. All right, getting there. Getting that nice golden color. My daughter said she's interested in trying this, so obviously I'm not going to get her on the air for it, but this is she's willing to give this a shot when it gets served. So you'll get the teenage daughter opinion on it. Then you can try this at home to scare your kids. One of the things, actually, so about the cicadas, the best time to get them is right after they emerge, because it's like all insects, they have an armored carapace, and so the earlier you get them, the softer they are. If you want to like do a saute, since this is a little bit later in the season, and I'm doing a fry where it doesn't really matter because it's going to be crunchy anyway. So just something to keep in note if you really want to become an aficionado at doing this. There we go. Just cooking up. So tempura is really not that hard to do. I think most people are only used to just doing it and seeing it in restaurants, but it's Great way to try to get your kids to eat different vegetables because you can pretty much just throw any vegetable in there. I'm doing carrots, squash, always onions because I love onions, broccoli. I can really feel the difference when I'm doing the show by myself versus all the dead air and the fact that you can't really quite see everything I'm doing. One of the disadvantages of this being a super amateur, just fun show. All right, almost there. I want to get them a little more golden. All right, well, that's going on for a few more seconds. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Okay, I'm concerned about this whole thing. Crickets, sure, but sex-crazed cicadas. What's the difference between a cicada and a cricket from an eating perspective? I just hope they don't have the rear end necrotizing fungus. Yes, that is a thing. Actually, it does not just affect cicadas. There are bugs all over the world that are being terrorized by different kinds of fungi that come in and change their behaviors and like eat at their brain. Pretty creepy stuff. Curious about the taste without the seasoning. Having had cicadas without the seasoning, it's actually just kind of not much of a flavor. It's just kind of like a crunch, little like bitter, not much. I feel like this should be sponsored by Bug Crowd. John, you are a genius. You want to take over marketing Unicorn Chef? Because funny enough, I was chatting with Casey Ellis, who's the founder of Bug Crowd, right before I came on. Didn't even make the connection. Wow, missed opportunity. John, seriously, I need you to run me. Like, be my agent. All right, let's get them out. All right, get them over here. Drain. Is there any more of those bad boys in there? I think so. No. So while those are cooling real quick, let's make some sauce to dip them in. You see it? There we go. All right, so little ponzu, some mirin, little Worcestershire, and I want this one to be a little. Actually, I'm going to do it without the hot chili because I don't want to affect the flavor. Get the full experience. Sauce is good. All right, here we go. So, just so you can see what it looks like, of course. That is a tempura cicada. Get a picture and share with the world. You ready? I feel like I need a drum roll. Why are they considered a delicacy if they taste like nothing? Oh, I mean, there are a lot of things. Like chicken can be prepared into a particular delicacy, but it doesn't taste like much. All right. Sauce, cool. And there, ladies and gentlemen, how easy it is to make tempura cicada, or literally anything. All right. Well, are there any questions in the chat? Because it basically, does the skeleton crumble? So frying them, just like it's, because it's similar to, here, I'm going to get something that's, because I'm going to also do a shrimp tempura, just so I wanted a backup for my daughter. Shrimp, you keep the shells on. It's the same kind of thing. The frying crisps the shell so you can actually eat it. So it's not that the skeleton crumbles, it just becomes, more palatable and edible. Good question. Any other questions? All right. What is your tempura mixture? I did a little bit more flour to cornstarch ratio, chilled seltzer water, eggs to create the binding around whatever I'm tossing in it. And then I added just a touch of curry powder so that it has a little bit of flavor. Usually when I make my own tempura, I do a little bit of onion and garlic, just kind of like enhance the flavors, not try to overwhelm it. And of course, the sauce brings a lot of flavor, so you don't really want to bring a lot of salt because typically your sauce is going to have a good amount of salt. You could do it without the cornstarch. Cornstarch just gives a better bind. So if you are staying keto, honestly, keto and anything fried doesn't go together. So I don't know how you're going to do this if you're trying to keep keto. I don't know. Is that like an almond paste or flour thing? All right. Any other questions? I'll go start my next batch here while y'all are thinking about it. If you got anything, otherwise, we'll end here in a second. The sauce is grated daikon radish. So you can see I have grated daikon. The one that I just did the test is ponzu, Asian Worcestershire, which is not at all like Worcestershire. So you can't substitute American Worcestershire for it. They have the same name. They're completely different things. It's more of like a citrus base. Mirin, which is like a Japanese cooking wine. And then for the final one, when I really want to go full, I'm going to add some hot chili sesame oil to give a little zing. All right. Going. 5, 4. All right. For those of you brave enough to try this at home or any other way of doing it, #UnicornChef. Would love to see it. I'm open doing other special episodes. So obviously I do the regular episodes every Wednesday. Tomorrow, Alyssa's coming on and we're going to be doing chicken wings and a mac and cheese from scratch. So actually with the flour, we'll be making a bechamel. But if you've got some interesting ideas, I'm always, happy to entertain that. We record all of these, so they're always adding up. Charity again, your local food kitchen, help out, donate, and look forward to seeing you I guess tomorrow. Bechamel is a fancy way of saying cheese sauce.